All right, click the links to support the channel on Subscribestar, the various other links. So, new PayPal policy permits company to fine users $2,500 for misinformation. That's what is going on with PayPal. Now, thankfully, there are various alternatives to PayPal. I think this is a bridge too far for a lot of people. Now, on Twitter, these like far left-wing people are defending it to the tune of, well, if you're not spreading misinformation, you have nothing to fear. It's like, I mean, would you, like, if this was in control by, like, right-wing people, would you feel the same way? And they don't have an answer to that. Or you go, oh, you know, you have nothing to fear from the police. You don't need a search warrant. We should just get rid of the Fourth Amendment and the Fifth Amendment. Oh, yeah, it doesn't work that way. You know, people will act tribally to advance their own interests. And honestly, I think at this point, constitutional protections should be applied to protect the individual over the corporations via discrimination against in financial institutions or in any large company. No, you shouldn't be have your bank cancel you because you're a British nationalist who advocates for that. That happened in Britain. It happens in America too. Bank of America, Wells Fargo, are debanking people. And it's like, why do the banks have this much power? Why do they even? Should the banks have that much power? It's like, shouldn't they have, you know, for federal contacts and for constitutional protections to apply? You go, well, how many interstate contacts does it have? It's like, well, banking is a part of America. Yes, the First Amendment protections, due process should very much apply to these huge businesses because we want to protect individual liberty over the businesses. Yeah, the constitutional protections should absolutely apply to social media, to big businesses, all these things. The freedom of speech should be so valued in America that, gee, it'd be nice if there are representatives over in Washington would do something about that. And you're like, you're going to be waiting a long time for that. They are too busy sending money to Ukraine, which half of that is going back in their own pockets. No, Nancy Pelosi is not worth $140 million from honest labor. That money is taken from you and I. So, with PayPal, there are alternatives. You're going to have to use them. I think this is a bridge too far, even for left-wing people. Like the far left, yes, they're on board with this kind of nonsense because they know it tweaks, because they know it's going to be applied against people on the right. So, but even on the moderate left, they're going to be looking at this and go like, yeah, I can't afford to lose $2,500 because I have a different interpretation of some current affairs health issue. And because some, you know, Nina Jankowicz, arbiter of truth, decides like what the truth is, and you ask people, oh, so what is the truth? What is misinformation? Or what is a woman? Or what is a man? And they can't answer all these questions. And you ask like, well, wait a minute, but you're gonna have consequences for misinformation, but like you can't even define it. So wouldn't that just be very arbitrary? Like whatever is currently in vogue on the left wing, it might deal with, you know, health issues or political issues. Wouldn't they just enforce that against people who are literally speaking truth to power? The J6 protesters, when Rage Against the Machine and all the left wing is teaming up with the FBI to chase down the J6 protesters who mostly peacefully assembled, unarmed, peaceful protest at a government building. When you team up, when you're on the left and you team up with the FBI to chase these people down and imprison them, a bunch of, 40, 50-year-old boomers, put them in prison. You're like, are you still raging against the machine when you're on the left? Are you still speaking truth to power? Like, isn't that what the J6 people did? They're left-wing people. I mean, they're the people who literally spoke truth to power. Oh, yeah, but but we're gonna destroy their lives and work with the FBI. So are you sure you're on the left anymore? I mean, what do you call it when private corporations and the government and the enforcement arm of the government all work together? It's like, isn't there a word for that? Oh, there is a word for that. Anyway, so what is misinformation? Well, I mean, the truth of the matter is it's whatever they say it is, and like everyone knows that. I think this is too much even for the left-wing moderate people who go like, yeah, I can't lose $2,500. Now, I use PayPal. It's on the Patreon and the Coffee accounts. It's never going to apply to me because I'm never going to see $2,500. That's just not what this kind of account gets. But Subscribestar goes directly to the bank. Cash App goes directly to the bank. I use those probably more than the other accounts. So this isn't an issue for me, but it's an issue for like the big right of center accounts, the Russell Brand. I don't know if he's right of center. I don't think so. But, all those kind of accounts that are, if they're still using PayPal and Patreon, it's an issue for them because if they say something that is, one of their triggers, it's like, well, they're just going to get, not only are they going to get kicked out of PayPal, which is not the end of the world because they're alternatives, But then they're going to get fined $2,500. And that is the end of the world for those accounts, because they have so much money coming in and out of those type of accounts. So the prior policy forbade hate, intolerance, discrimination. You know, again, I would ask for the definitions for those terms. It's whatever they say it is. It's going to be applied against the right, and it's not going to be applied against the left. And we all know that. And even with this $2,500 fine, if you're on the left, you know, like you're a ContraPoints type of character and you got fined, you would just go to Twitter, you would raise a fuss, and they would refund the money. But if you're, you know, Elijah Schaefer on the right, or Savannah that says on the right, or, you know, Crowder types, they're not going to refund the money. So if you're, I mean, this is a bridge too far for a lot of people. You're going to have to stop using PayPal, because you can't lose $2,500 per infraction. It's like, oh, so where's the due process? It's a private company. They can do, ultimately, yes, they can do whatever they want. Thankfully, there's GabPay with Andrew Torba. There's Subscribestars, Cash App. There's a bunch of other payment processors like Squarespace and Stripe, and a bunch of other things. Even, I mean, but yes, a lot of people use PayPal. I think this is too far for a lot of people. And it's not even the fact, like, maybe they'll take it back, maybe they won't. But this concept of big NGOs being able to do this kind of stuff, I look at it and go, oh, we should go in the other way. We should, by law, we should have free speech on these sites, and like there shouldn't be political discrimination. If someone is selling contraband or advocating illegal activity, you should call the FBI and let the FBI deal with it, and then start a due process, and they deal with it, and then you can have due process within the company, and they can cancel you from the company too. But it should be a legal matter, because then you have constitutional protections of due process. But, you know, checks and balances, that's the kind of the point. But to have NGOs have so much power in America, it's like, well, wait, we the people we're not really in control of our own destiny anymore. We're run by these NGOs, where you need these financial services companies to survive in modern day America, especially, you know, they want to go cashless, and they want to, the government's talking about using crypto, which is like, crypto is great, but not when it's in government control. And I think MasterCard controls one end of the crypto transactions or something. It's like, we gotta get past all these gatekeepers. The government argument is one thing, and like, actually you have a stronger argument against the Jankowiczes and the governments and the Garfinkels and the Mayorkas type, because you do have constitutional protections for that. But for these NGOs, like, we're going to have to extend constitutional protections to these companies, because individual liberty is more important than $1 billion effing company. Yeah, that should be an easy. It's a private company. You conservatives should love this. Yeah. Your personal attacks apart. Can't we agree that individual liberties should, like, if you're on the left or the right, can't we agree that individual liberties take precedent, are much more deserving of protections than $1 billion companies? Like, if you're on the left, it's like, this is one thing we can agree on. You don't have to score points by saying, free market capitalism. Yeah, but I'm saying that's a cringe idea. I'm openly in agreement with you guys. This is that's a bad idea. Unfettered crony capitalism. Yes, I'm in agreement with you. If you're on the left, you don't need to score points against me. If you thought that was my straw man position, I'm telling you it's not. This is evil. This needs to be stopped. Are we in agreement on this, left and right? Can we be in agreement on this? We don't have to argue every single point just because you think I'm on the right in some regards and you're on the left. We don't have to argue if we're in agreement. We don't have to have these puppet masters manipulate us. If we're in agreement, we can work together to solve one little problem at a time, and then we can go back to arguing. Are we in agreement that this is wrong? Individual liberty is more important than $1 billion corporation controlling speech. And there's a lot of people on the left who ultimately do not, I've used that word a lot, do not agree with free speech, free expression. They don't. They just fundamentally don't. So I want to know where the left wing falls. I know who wants censorship. I know what groups want censorship. But if you're on the left, I think you need to come down and decide where you are. Like, do you agree with free expression, or are you on the side of no, we need to censor hate speech? You ask them, like, well, what is that? Just try defining it. And then even if you come up with a definition, which I don't think you can, well, who enforces it? Oh, the people enforce it. Well, then you don't need laws and you don't need rules. You just have people determine for themselves what speech is acceptable. If you find somebody objectionable, you just don't support them. You don't hang out with them. You just move on, or you counter their speech with your own speech. But the fact that we're giving NGOs this much power, I look at our quote unquote representatives and go, oh, so why aren't you guys doing something about this? Doesn't this have a chilling effect on free speech? I mean, you guys are in office being paid $250,000 a year, and then you're getting all those perks like the Maxine Waters, Nancy Pelosi, Bernie Sanders. You guys are worth multi millionaires. You didn't get that money from office. Like, we know you. This is at the stage the late stage of a country that's turned into an economic zone where you're looting the treasury. It's like, okay, you're looting the treasury. I get that, and the country's on its way to civil war and ultimately World War III. But in the meantime, can't you pretend to do your jobs? Can't you pick up that Bill of Rights and go, oh yeah, we should at least pretend to do something. Yes, we're taking, probably 70% of the money that's going to Ukraine is going back in our pockets or going over to these other foreign countries. That Nancy Pelosi goes to China and brings her son along and makes $50 million on these Chinese deals. Yeah, maybe you should be prohibited from doing that. Didn't AOC and her crew, there's like 4 of these chicks, they put forth this idea that, oh yeah, you shouldn't profit from stock trades when you're in office. What happened to that proposition? Well, somebody took her aside and said that, yeah, this is very dangerous. They're gonna give her the Kanye West treatment, take her aside and say, yeah, so that's still floating out there. Even the Mary Sue covered that, where they go, yeah, shouldn't we be cleaning up our representatives so they're not worth. No, representatives shouldn't be worth $250 million from deals they did in office. You're talking about Trump being put in a blind trust. It's like, yeah, everyone should be, the time you're in office, should you be prohibited from profiting? Like you get paid fine in office, and when you're out of office, you get put on boards and you get speaking engagements and you write books. It's like, financially, you guys are fine. You don't need to make $100 million when you're in office for 50 effing years. That's insane. Oh, AOC, she got in office and she, before she elected, worth nothing. Oh, what's she worth now? $40 million. Oh, how? How did that happen? And should that be legal? And to be her credit, she's the one speaking out against it. So bless her for that. But that thing just went nowhere. It's like Me Too went nowhere. Oh, why is that? Because it actually started to occupy Wall Street. What happened to that? Oh, it went nowhere. Or it actually got subverted. It's like, oh, we're focusing on class. We can all get together and focus on class. Can't wait. No, we're going to subvert and destroy that. Now we're going to focus on ethnicity. Oh, but that doesn't make sense. Yeah, here's a check, or here's some cash. Oh, it makes a lot more sense now. Thank you for that briefcase full of cash, sir. So they could kick you off for whatever they want to kick you off for. And yes, it would be nice if our representatives did something. Again, you're going to wait a long time for that. It's never going to happen. There are alternatives. You're going to have to use them. There's a guy, I think it's Bryson Gray on YouTube. He's a black rapper guy, but he's also I think, a religious dude. And he's like, he wants to set up a Christian state, which is pretty sweet. He's a cool guy. Talking about the parallel economy. Andrew Torba talks about the parallel economy. A lot of people talk about it. Even if you're, Comicsgate, you're kind of familiar with that. Stuff like that is a small example of, yes, Comicsgate is political, but it's small examples of the need for a parallel economy. And then you look at the people who are the gatekeepers. It's financial institutions, payment processors, and then platforms, and then the app stores like Google and Apple app stores. Well, a lot of things we're starting to get around because you can just download apps from the internet or use web-based stuff like that. Even Kiwi Farms and these other hot sites that they take down, it's like they're able to get back up. The payment processors are still a bottleneck because so many people uses them. But the thing is, these people, like, they lack self-awareness to do something like this, a $2,500 fine, where you're going to have to find alternatives. And there are alternatives. I hope GabPay is very, very good. His Torba is like, he's really into it. He's really into the, free political speech. But then there's a bunch of other payment processors, and like, you're just going to have to not use people who use PayPal. And if you don't have a PayPal account, you're not going to be buying you're going to be buying products from alternative sites. And it's like, no, if say Amazon uses it, it's like, you don't have to, there's so many alternative sites. You don't have to use any of these mainstream sites. And it's not like a big deal to go to another payment processor, another online business. We're like, yeah, we're going to have a parallel economy. That's absolutely necessary because they're controlling speech, and speech is downstream from, or politics is downstream from speech. Obviously, like the stuff they're doing, the culture of Marxism, the Frankfurt School, and all those other hot words that I can only say at the end of a YouTube video. Yeah, this is all really happening. We have to call them out, which you can't do yet on YouTube, but you can do on these alternative platforms. And we have tools available now in 2022 we just did not have even 5 years ago. It's amazing. Everyone with a $100 cell phone can spread this message. Anyway, PayPal, $2,500 fine for X. No, it's not for X. X is just going to be a variable for whatever they want. It's like, of course, this is a Chilean Express effect on free speech. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe. You can support me on Cash App with a one-time donation, or on all these other payment processor sites like Subscribestar. I love Subscribestar. You can join for $2 a month. It's a video hosting platform. They have server space for videos. and it has chat apps. So all these alt platforms have got to just develop their own live streaming. You got to have live streaming. You got to have videos hosting, and you got to have lib video, like archival retrieval type stuff, and you got to have payment processors through crypto and through mainstream other payment processors, U.S. Denomination, through various your banks or micropayments. There's a bunch of other platforms. It's not an insurmountable hurdle. You're talking about like for $10,000 a month to run a company that can do all those things: host videos, live stream videos, process payments. It's like, oh, well, that is the alternative economy. And you can start getting together with people, go like, yeah, we want to be a free speech collection where if you want to be part of this free speech collection, we'll support each other financially with, you're selling books or locally owned businesses. I need a bookshelf done. We know you share these values of free speech. And it's like, we don't have to argue over every little thing. We can just say we value free speech, so we're going to support these free speech businesses that use these payment processors. I mean, there's a lot to do if we had free speech to do it. You realize like, oh yeah, YouTube is 90% of the video hosting platform, and you don't have free speech on YouTube. Not even like 2 years ago was a different environment, and 2 years before that was a radically different environment. Thankfully now people are looking at that, especially with what just recently happened with Nick Rekieta. They're looking at all these other video hosting platforms that are monetized. And no, Rumble is not your alternative. It's a temporary fix. They recently came out with their own terms of services that you're going to have to look up for your own self. They're very restrictive on some groups. Are more, all animals are equal, but some animals are more equal than others. And Rumble just came out and said, yeah, they come out, we're an alternative to YouTube years ago. We're alternative to YouTube. We got payment processors. We're hosting videos. We take a lower fee than YouTube. They didn't exactly say they're free speech, but they implied it by being an alternative to YouTube. And then they just recently came out like, this is the detrimental reliance. That's a contract term, but it's a detrimental reliance concept of where these people get you in the door on social media platforms, and that you rely on them to your detriment because you build up a platform there. And all of a sudden, a couple of years later, they come out with, oh yeah, we're going to have these same hate speech rules that the mainstream platforms have. You go, why are you doing that? You don't need to do that. You're not kicked off Google or Apple. You're not getting any pressure from anyone. Why are you doing that? I thought you guys were a free speech platform. Oh, we never really said that. Oh, so we relied on you implying that to our detriment. And now we have a big platform there and we're financially tied to it. The thing is, it's never been easier to move platforms and to multi-stream across platforms. And people are like, they like the payment processors within the platforms themselves for the super chatting concept. I've never actually gotten a super chat. Probably because I've never done a live stream. They like that. The thing is, you can use Cash App, Subscribestar, and other payment processors as a super chat. It goes through instantly to your communication network. It pops up on your screen. It works just the same. Cash App doesn't take a cut under $100. You get 100% of that money. It's an amazing platform under $100. So there's no, like, you can use Odyssey, Shing, Cozy, whatever other live stream. Eventually, Gab is going to have live stream. Bit Chute also. They're all going to have live streaming platforms, and you can just, like, there's never been an easier time for alt tech to take off. And they're making it so easy for us because they're doing stuff like this. A $2,500 fine. And I can't even mention some of the hot topics of, like, what you get fined for. I can't even mention them because YouTube will give me a strike on the channel for the things. And it's like, well, it seems like, opinions on certain things have, evolved over time. I'll say that. They evolve and change over time. And things that you got spanked for 2 years ago are not the things that they spank you for now. Weird, isn't it? I mean, that's why you have the concept of the method that analytic people use to determine the truth. And one of those tools is being able to replicate experiments. I actually got a strike on a different channel when I mentioned that concept of how that works. Like, literally just talking about how that works. They go, oh, that's misinformation. You get a strike and you're banned from YouTube for a week. Oh, I didn't say anything. I appealed the strike and I still didn't say. I was just talking about logic, how logic works. And you still got a strike for that. Anyway, I think I've rambled on long enough. Support me on Subscribestar. Thank you to the recent big Irish donation. I think that's an Irish sign. And I will see you guys next episode.